Hey troops, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan and I'm a former Royal Marines Commando. As you can see behind me, my green beret is there. And today we're going to be reacting to why Russia invading Ukraine was inevitable. It's by a channel by TLDR News. The link is in the description. If you want to go follow them and all that good stuff, guys, then please do that. But today, we're talking about inevitability and stuff like that. This is a video that I genuinely thought was going to be inevitable on the channel. All right, I genuinely believed that this is probably going to escalate to what the current situation is now. And as we can see, they've wangled the way around things with policy and stuff, and it's technically peacekeeping and all of that, because of the two regions that are claiming independence, all that good stuff. But this is going to explain a lot better than what I can do, guys. But yeah, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate it. I'm in training. I'm in training. I've been training hard, guys, twice a day, getting in shape. Hopefully to try and get on the YouTube boxing scene. So if you want to support me on that journey, become a member. I really appreciate that, guys. But these cool tops anyway. I got this from Bravo22. Go check them out, guys. Go drop me a comment. But let's just get straight into this. Let's go.
Yesterday evening, Russia ordered troops into eastern Ukraine, marking the real beginning of a conflict many have been warning about for months. But as you might have noticed, tensions actually began to reach a boiling point between Russia and Ukraine over the weekend. Despite a brief moment of optimism earlier in the week when Russia claimed to be withdrawing troops, total troop numbers have actually increased, and politicians are warning that war looks likelier than ever. Even over the weekend, politicians already foresaw this invasion. Boris Johnson said that Russia is planning the biggest war in Europe since 1945.
Now, we can talk about like the media scaremongering and stuff like that, but there's one thing with this that I think we have to be quite realistic on, and if this did turn out to be a full-scale invasion, full-scale war, it would involve a lot of NATO countries. It would involve a lot of further eastern countries as well. Maybe it's China and stuff. You just never know. The possibilities for this is endless if it actually takes place. So I kind of agree. If it was to progress in severity, even just slightly, to what it currently is, it could be bigger than anything we've ever seen. It's certainly going to be bigger than World War II because of the technology that's behind our troops now and our countries. Okay, it is scary times indeed. Troops really is.
And Biden said that he was convinced that Putin had decided to invade Ukraine, after warning voters that a Russian invasion of Ukraine could affect US gas prices. So in this video, we thought we'd explain why politicians and commentators predicted Russia's invasion of Ukraine that we observed yesterday evening.
Well, you can say predictors. There's a lot of easy things to predict if a country's going to invade or not. Obviously, the strategic positioning of where Putin was putting his troops was one, but the intelligence on the ground, okay? Don't be fooled about the intelligence that is on the ground actively giving information back to our countries. It's not a surprise to me that the politicians know exactly what's going on, because that's what you'd expect in a modern society.
As we see it, there are three reasons. First, Russian troop movements. Second, Russia's new information campaign. And third, the behaviour of Russian-backed separatists in Donbass. So let's start with the Russian troop movements. As we mentioned earlier, early last week there was a moment of optimism when Putin announced that he'd be withdrawing some troops from Belarus, having finished joint exercises with Belarusian forces. This optimism was apparently misplaced. Russian troops have stayed in Belarus past the end of their joint exercises, which were scheduled to end on Sunday. According to the Belarusian defense minister, Russian troops decided to stay in Belarus because of the ongoing tension in Donbass, which, well, Russia started. This is particularly alarming because a similar thing happened in 2008, when Russia invaded Georgia. Russia completed its Kavkaz 2008 drills, told everyone it was putting some of its troops back to their bases, and then invaded a few days later. As well as leaving troops in Belarus, Russia has increased its troop presence on the Russo-Ukrainian border. US intelligence reckons there are now between 169,000 and 190,000 troops surrounding Ukraine.
Right, so that's a lot of troops. Okay, that's a lot of troops. That's like double, give or take, the entire United Kingdom's military. 180,000 troops spare just to put them on the border. They're not going to be doing that just for fun, all right? They're doing that with intention. And we've seen that intention over the past couple of days now. It's real. It's real. They want to have an effect on the region. They want to have change implemented. And whether that's for a good reason or a bad reason is still yet to be determined, guys, okay? It never really has been for any good reason in the past. So I don't see it being for any good reasons now or in the future.
Up from 100,000 on January the 30th. Satellite imagery showed Russian troop movements closer to the Ukrainian border. And, perhaps most worryingly, the construction of forward arming refuel points, which are stations where helicopters can be quickly rearmed and refueled, and temporary field hospitals.
Right, you're not going to do those things unless you genuinely plan some form of operation, whether it's an invasion or a peacekeeping operation, as they say. We all know that peacekeeping operation is just political terminology. They've wangled the way around the current situation because we all know that an invasion and peacekeeping are two very different things. Okay, and there could be sanctions imposed on other countries who interfere with that peacekeeping operation. Okay, if it's so called, and if it is if it is technically classed as a peacekeeping operation. So they're being smart about the movements. Okay, when this turns over into a full blown war, I'm not too sure when that tipping point is. To be fair,
hospitals near the Ukrainian border, both of which suggest an invasion is now likely. Previously, commentators were somewhat comforted by the fact that, despite its massive troop buildup, Russia hadn't built any field hospitals, which suggested that they weren't truly ready for a full-scale invasion, and the casualties that would entail. Unfortunately, this is no longer the case. Similarly, in January, commentators were arguing that Russia would need about twice the 100,000 troops it had deployed on the Russian border for a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The upper end estimate for US intelligence is now 190,000, which is presumably why Biden claimed on Friday that Putin could go beyond Donbass and try to take Kiev. Another bad sign is that over the weekend, Russia went ahead with its Grom 2022 strategic nuclear drills, which included testing cruise missiles, an intercontinental ballistic missile, and a hypersonic cruise missile. Now, it's worth saying that these exercises were scheduled a while ago. It's not like Putin decided to test his nuclear arsenal out of the blue, but it still doesn't look good. So,
yeah, but what that shows is a long-term intention. All right, so it might have been scheduled for a while, but so his intention to invade Ukraine, that's also something to consider. Not just the fact that we had these nuclear tests scheduled in, they've been in the back burner for 5 years. So they've took place exactly at the time when you are planning on doing peacekeeping operations in the Ukraine. It seems a little bit fishy to me. What do you think? I mean, the timing is impeccable, isn't it?
That's the first reason why an invasion was inevitable, the ever-increasing troop buildup making it increasingly difficult to back down. On to the second bit of evidence, Russia's new information campaign. In our previous video on the topic, we argued that Putin wasn't serious about invasion because he wasn't properly preparing the Russian public, who, at least according to polling, aren't particularly keen on invasion. Reliable polling is difficult to find, but polling from the Levada Center in April 2021 found that Russians were basically split on whether or not Russia should intervene in Donbass, but more Russians thought an invasion of Ukraine would hurt Putin's domestic approval than help it. More recently, polling from the Wall Street Journal suggested that just 8% of Russians think Russia should send military forces to fight the Ukrainian government forces, and only 9% think that Russia should train or equip separatist forces with Russian arms. The point is, Russians aren't super keen on war with Ukraine, so Russia's state media will need to prepare them for an invasion. Anyway, a month ago, the situation in Ukraine barely made the evening news bulletins on Russian state media, which suggested an invasion wasn't coming. Today, it's all over the front pages, and Russian state media is arguing that the West is pushing a war because various...
That's a very, very good point he's made there. I remember something happening on the news a couple of weeks ago. All right, I'm not going to mention it because you know how it is now, but something was coming to an end all of a sudden. All right, and the restrictions around that something were, they were subsiding all of a sudden after it being so dramatic for 2 years, horrendous. With it all stops, and literally the next day, this was being pushed massively on the news outlets, and I was like, it just seems all too. I don't know what the word is. I don't know, guys. You know where I'm coming from, though, right? It's like one thing comes and then the next thing's in. It was like Brexit. We didn't do nothing but talk about Brexit in the UK, on the news anyway. They pushed that down our throats hard for a good couple of years, no pun intended. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, bang, the next thing was in. And then this is the next thing. It's crazy what the media is portraying in the world right now. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying anything like that, but I'm just saying if they want you to have an opinion on something, they'll ram it down your throat first. And is that really an opinion, or is that a forced agenda? I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm getting into sticky territory here.
Various Western figures, including Boris Johnson, the royal family, and Erdogan, stand to benefit from it personally. State media has also argued that Russia needs to intervene to prevent, quote, genocide against ethnic Russians. This is worryingly similar to what happened in 2014. The Russian public was pretty ambivalent about the annexation of Crimea before a successful information campaign led by Russian state media convinced them otherwise. In the aftermath, Putin's approval ratings shot up by 15%, and today Levada's polling suggests that about 86% of Russians approve of the annexation. Now, there's reason to be sceptical about whether Russian state media can pull off a similar trick this time round. For starters, a full-scale occupation of Ukraine is bound to be a lot more violent, with even heavier sanctions, and while surveys from earlier than 2014 showed that a majority, 56%, of Russians thought that Crimea was essentially Russian, only about 25% think the same thing about Donbass. Nonetheless, you get the point. Putin has started preparing the Russian public for invasion, and this is bad news. On to the third bit of evidence, the behaviour of Russian-backed separatists in Donbass. Over the weekend, Russian-backed separatist leaders in Donbass accused Ukrainian forces of, quote, terror tactics in the form of shelling, and Russia claimed that some Ukrainian artillery fire had landed on the Russian side of the border.
So you're getting tit for tat, you're getting them arguing back and forth, you did this, he did that. It reminds me of how it was in Iraq, how they prepared the public for that, and the media outlets weren't as good as they were now, but they're still quite powerful in their abilities to get people on board with it. Okay, yeah, let's do it, let's get in there. We support it. The weapons of mass destruction. Yeah, hell yeah, let's get rid of that shit. These media campaigns, it's like, what do you believe now? What do you believe? I mean, I don't know what to believe anymore. I'm not gonna lie. I watch all these videos and I watch the news and I think, well, actually, most of the time I get more information off like independent people like this guy than most of the news outlets. That's why I never believe anything nowadays.
For its part, the Ukrainian military denied any shelling and accused Russia of staging a false flag attack. Anyway, in response to the increase of shelling on February the 18th, separatist authorities ordered a complete evacuation of the area via a couple of Telegram videos. And all able-bodied men between 18 and 55 were conscripted. The metadata for these
18, 55, that's not on, is it, really? Imagine being conscribed at 18 and 55. Everything in between's okay-ish, but like 55, my dad's like 55, 56. That's not on, guys. All right, that's not an age you want to be fighting wars for politicians. Here we go. If the regular man can be conscribed into the military because of war, shouldn't the politicians be as well? Shouldn't they be fighting? Shouldn't they be leading the men? They lead them verbally with all that diarrhea that comes out of their mouths. I think they should be leading them into battle. Let's get a Game of Thrones style battle going on with all the politicians who actually want war. Throw them into a forest and let them battle it out into a political duel. One man standing, one man. That's it. Just let them battle it out until there's one man left. See if there's much See if there's much scope for that. See if they're as eager to get involved in that. Yeah, you can have your You want that? You want to put that down? You want that country? You want to invade here? Okay, well, before we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to decide it with a last man standing duel to death, and then if you win, you can put whatever in place you want. But let's see how many people actually agree and sign up to that, because a lot of these politicians are weak. They're spineless. The individuals who would never ever serve their country and use their hands to fight to the death, like the men and women that they send into war. They expect them to do that, don't they? It's we keep talking about these things, but the more we talk about it, the more you have to realize that this is real life, guys. There's real people get affected by these stupid policies and stupid ideas.
These files implies that they were actually pre-recorded on February the 16th, which suggests that they knew about the shelling in advance. The Separatists also published a video claiming to show a car full of explosives being towed away from women and children evacuating to Russia, which had metadata suggesting it was filmed in 2019, and claimed that Ukrainian forces tried to car bomb one of their leaders. Again, it turned out they'd actually switched the plates with another car, and all of this suggests a premeditated false flag operation. Again, you get the point. Separatists are evacuating the region of civilians while fabricating the pretext for invasion. Ultimately, Putin had been building up to this moment, with him claiming that a genocide was taking place against Russians and that women and children were at threat. So it would have been hard for him to back down even if he'd wanted to, which it now seems was always his intention, or relent either admitting he lied or allowing people to think he was letting the West win in his imagined false flag narrative. It seems Putin went for the first option, and it looks like Europe is entering a time of war, a rare phenomenon for a relatively peaceful continent. It's not the most peaceful though. That honour goes to South America, who, despite the ongoing issues with crime, drugs and gangs, pretty much never experiences war. In fact, we discuss why...
Yeah, but right, this is stupid. Hang on, I need to go back onto this other screen here for 2 seconds, right? Okay, South America, it never experiences war. Right, but have a good bloody think about what goes on over there. They might not be experiencing war, but how you would categorize war is normally a political thing. It's when it's a governmental... Look, I'm not going to get too technical here, but you want to go on the streets of Brazil and Rio de Janeiro when the drug lords are fighting, it's a war zone on there, okay? It might not be classed as one because we haven't got international countries getting involved, but we've got special forces, all right? Special forces teams over there, regular, fighting the drug cartels and stuff like that. So, yeah, that statistic is a load of shit. Whoever made that statistic up needs to get sacked, all right? Because... technically correct, but bloody hell, the skirmishes, the fighting, the death, the torture, the rape, the drugs, the clashes between different factions is unbelievable there. It can't be measured. It's huge, okay? You can go into the mean streets in England and go, well, look, it's quite peaceful here. Yeah, but we've been to war a lot in 1,000 years, okay? We've done our fair share of killing and stuff. So that's stupid. That is stupid. I don't agree with that.
South America is so peaceful in our latest video exclusively for Nebula. The streaming service my creator friends and I have teamed up to build, where we don't need to worry about demonetization or the algorithm.
Right, okay, so that's that actually. That was ridiculous, that bit at the end. But why Russia invading Ukraine was inevitable? It's inevitable because we here's something. If the people of the world changed what they agreed to and what they aligned with, we would automatically not be going to war. All right, it's if they can get into your head and be like, yeah, this is happening, and start ramming it down your neck, and then started ramming down, oh, we need conscription people fighting our wars, we need you to volunteer for the military, we need you to get on board with this because it's for Queen and country and all of that stuff, then yeah, it'll happen all day long. We, the people, have the power to change every single thing that happens on the planet. It's a fact. So if we buy into this, yeah, it was inevitable. If you don't buy into it and you just think, well, actually, it was inevitable because Maybe it's the governments wanted it to happen. Maybe it's the politicians want this to happen to generate money, because when you look at who's behind all of the arms dealing, you realise that there's a few naughty people at the very top got their hands in pies that are worth a lot of money, okay? And this is just a global arms race at the end of the day. It's going to generate trillions and trillions and trillions of pounds, dollars, whatever you name it, in arms dealing, in sharing of military advice, in tactics. There's money in war, all right? And there's certain countries haven't had money from war for a while, and they just think about topping up the bank balance. They're not bothered about human life. Full of psychopaths, this world. Full of psychopaths.